Okay, this is the second part of the 1000 subscriber special, and here we're going to review the game that won the vote, South Park. Let's check it out. So how does one describe South Park? Well, that's simple. You simply take the cartoon series and the game Turok and you cross them together. Now both games were developed by Iguana Entertainment and published by Acclaim, and use the same game engine and control scheme, much in the same way that GoldenEye and Perfect Dark are alike. The game then opens with some backstory about an evil comet that's on a collision course with South Park. A lot of weird stuff starts happening, so it's up to you to investigate and put an end to the madness. You then begin the game by selecting which character to start as. I personally pick Cartman just because he's a fat ass. You know, like me. You then start the game armed only with your trusty Snowball, and your immediate objective is to find your friends, and once we do, we're off. Like Zelda's Adventure, my initial impressions of this game weren't all that great. The first problem I had was the controls. Now, I was never really a fan of the Turok control scheme, and I was more of a GoldenEye person myself. Now, you can in fact switch to a GoldenEye scheme, but I found it to be way too sensitive, and it just wasn't going to work. The music, if you can even call it that, is also very unmotivating. I mean, never mind those upbeat tracks from Perfect Dark. Oh no! South Park's soundtrack reminds me of the background music you hear in a department store, or that corporate bullshit you hear when you call customer service. Just have a listen. The gameplay on the first stage was also unimpressive, and consists merely of throwing snowballs at turkeys. The turkeys don't do much except charge at you, so it kinda reminds me of Super Noah's Ark 3D. Fortunately, the first stage was just a warm-up, and from the second stage on, the game is actually pretty decent. So in a nutshell, the game involves killing these things called tanks. Tanks are these large creatures, or machines depending on the episode, that spawn normal enemies. For example, in the first episode, tanks are these giant turkeys that shit out eggs that hatch into smaller turkeys. Your job is to dispatch each and every tank on the level. Once you do enough damage, they will make a run for the town, and each tank that escapes will have to be dealt with after you complete the stage, so it's imperative that you defeat each and every tank. After you reach the end of the stage, if at least one tank has escaped, then you will be taken to town where all the escaped tanks will be on a rampage, and you will have to stop them before they destroy the entire town. At the last stage of each episode, you fight the boss, much like this giant cock at the end of the first episode. Yeah, shoot him in the ass! The stages are very linear and straightforward, and don't require a lot of backtracking. There are even arrows that tell you which direction to go, so you really can't get lost. Now, there are some out-of-the-way places and hidden paths where you can find items and get more powerful weapons earlier than usual. In addition, there's also some platforming involved where you can swim and jump from place to place. You also find a variety of weapons. The weapons, in typical South Park fashion, look rather silly, but don't let their appearance fool you. These weapons can do some serious damage. I mean, a dodgeball that can take down a spacecraft? Damn! Each one of these weapons can be compared to a more conventional weapon, like a shotgun, assault rifle, grenade or grenade launcher, or a sniper rifle. Most of these weapons have a secondary mode, kinda like in Perfect Dark, usually a more powerful punch at a slower firing rate, or a charge shot at the expense of large amounts of ammo. For example, the snowball has a secondary mode where it gets pissed on before thrown, dealing more damage. The game is broken up into 5 episodes with 3 to 4 stages each. The only real difference between the episodes is the type of enemies you face, and how you approach these enemies will differ slightly from episode to episode. In the first episode, snowballs will suffice, but by the second episode, you're going to need something a bit more powerful. Like for example, dodgeballs work wonders against these big gay owl clones. By the third episode, you encounter alien spacecraft that drop off mad cows that charge at you, much like the turkeys in the first episode. Powered dodgeballs are also effective here, but plungers and the warp ray will also work well. However, you don't want to be too far away when they try to fly towards town, but at the same time, you don't want to be so close that they fall down on you. Later on, you encounter alien ground troops, and, well, they're just not too bright. The third episode does require a bit of ammo budgeting and aiming skill, but making the appropriate adjustment isn't that hard. In the fourth episode, you encounter killer robots. Now, to defeat the tanks, you just shoot the door where the smaller robots pop out, twice, with the sniper chicken. Terrence and Phillip dolls and the Warple Ray also work very well. The sniper chicken is also effective against these sentry robots that lie in wait and attack you with an electrical charge that will shock you like an electric fence. But the worst part is that sometimes you will get ambushed and attacked from behind. But with a little preparation and attention to your radar, this can be easily overcome. The fifth and final episode pits you up against toys. Yes, toys of all things. Tanks, race cars, barfing dolls, attack planes, all team up to ruin your day. And the source of this insanity are these annoying jack-in-the-boxes.
Son of a... Get out of my way, son. You're using my eyes.
Yeah, that's quite a personality. Anyway, just like the robots before it, Terrence dolls or the sniper chicken work wonders. So in conclusion, overall, this game was actually alright. The graphics were decent, it was funny listening to some of the things the kids would say on their adventure, and I honestly thought that they didn't do too bad of a job incorporating South Park elements. However, unless you're a hardcore South Park fan, there really is no reason to own this game, because from a gameplay standpoint, it's utterly pointless. There were much better games out there, games like GoldenEye, Turok, hell, even Doom 64, and with competition like that, South Park is at the bottom of the barrel. Furthermore, the game really wasn't that challenging, because with proper ammo budgeting and a little bit of trial and error, anyone with even a modicum of gaming skill can get through this. And finally, the game can get kind of boring if you play it for a long period of time.
Well, that about wraps that up. I've been playing this for way too long. I'm tired. I'm calling it a day. The only thing I've got left is the final boss, and since this game was piss easy and the previous 4 bosses were pushovers, I'm not expecting much.